did see?
I know. Go ahead.
I just want to point out that there was no weekly dash the last 2 weeks.
Well, you did one.
Well, I did one, but then, there was no weekly dash because I've been in mourning. Okay? Because I was devastated. And I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. And I felt that it was best to just stay quiet until we came together so we could talk about it.
Talk about what?
I guess I have to say, spoiler alert. Spoilers. This is our last topic, so if you don't want any spoilers,
4.
I'm getting to it.
All right, player, my
If
bad.
you don't want any spoilers, this is the time to go. You're not missing anything else. This
Perfect timing.
This is it. Succession. Episodes 3, 4, and 5. We have seen all 3. So especially if you did not watch the episode that was just released.
Right. Episode 5.
Episode 5. You might want to skip this conversation until you watch that.
Right. You might want to. So if you have not seen episodes 3, 4, and 5 of Succession season 4, you should end the pod here. We thank you for being here.
Go watch Succession, and then you can come back and finish the episode. Listen, I mean,
Even better.
yes. So,
Talk to him.
but episode 3 is the reason why I was devastated. Okay, so we got to start there because that's
the big one.
Logan's gone.
Logan's gone. Finally. I've been waiting. I've been holding this in till we potted.
Logan is gone. Okay, and here's the thing, right? Because we just talked about 2 weeks ago. We talked about how the show is called Succession. I even predicted that Logan would die this season. I even said, I think by the end, he's going to die. We're going to find out who succeeds him.
You did.
That is absolutely going to happen.
Yep.
What I did not have on my bingo card was episode 3.
Not on your bingo card.
Episode 3. Not only was it in episode 3,
Yep.
the kids were not anywhere around him.
Yep.
He essentially died with his mistress and what did they call it? What did they refer to them as? The emperor?
Although they're the old guard.
The old guard. Yeah. And Tom.
And Tom.
Who's always up in the mix now because he was becoming Logan's pet. I did not expect him to die in episode 3.
I don't think anyone expected him to die in episode 3.
I was watching it and I thought it was a dream sequence.
Oh, not me.
I thought it was a dream sequence. I was like, whose dream is this?
Although, they did do a great job of making it mysterious. Because you
Very mysterious.
You saw the chest compressions, but it looked just like it does on the main camera right now. You couldn't really see, what was happening.
For a long time. You could not.
Even though they were saying it, it was like, is this the old guard trying to pull a trick?
I thought it was a trick.
Is this like another test? This Logan fucking with people? You didn't really know for a hot minute.
Tom kept calling the kids and he was like, okay, I'm going to put the phone up to his ear so he can hear you. We don't know if he can hear you, but talk to him. And they're like, what the fuck? Right. And then, so they start doing it because they're freaked out. They're like, wait, is this real? And when they realize that it is absolutely real, they start doing that. They're like, okay, put the phone back to his ear. Let's talk to him.
Right.
But also, like, what? They did chest compressions on him for 30 minutes.
I may think it was longer. Oh, you mean in the show for 30 minutes?
Yeah, because you're supposed to try to keep the heart going.
Yeah, until medical help arrives.
Until medical attention arrives. So that's what they did. He was on the jet.
Going to Switzerland,
and the kids to finalize the deal, and which we will get to. And the kids were on the boat because it was Connor's wedding.
Yeah.
So he was supposed to go to Switzerland and then make it back in time for the wedding.
Allegedly, but that's not what his plan was.
Right. Because, you know, as Connor stated, he didn't really love Connor.
Right.
So
Exactly.
Connor was like, well, Dad didn't love me.
Right.
And they all kind of looked at him like,
Connor was like, in fact, I don't even know what love is.
as I get ready to get married to this woman who
Right.
is here for my money. And then has the nerve to ask her, if anything pissed me off was when Connor was like, Willa, are you marrying me for money? Connor, this is an arrangement that you arranged.
Right.
You need a wife because you want to be a politician.
Yep.
And Willa just wants to make like theater and spend money.
Yep. And that's what's going on.
And he got the nerve to ask her, are you with me for my money? Connor.
Because sometimes when you lie to yourself too much, you start believing the lie.
Connor is a buffoon.
Absolutely.
For so many different reasons. I mean, listen,
Absolutely.
sorry to that man that Daddy didn't love him. No one wants that. But outside of that, he's kind of a buffoon, and it's actually funny to watch him like fumble around. He moves about the world very clumsily,
Yeah.
and it's almost like you get secondhand embarrassment watching Connor.
Oh yeah, totally. Him and Greg.
Him and Greg. Even though Greg...
In different ways.
Yeah, and Greg is a lot easier to stomach because Greg is like the comedy of the show in a lot of ways. Him and Rome.
Yeah.
I love Rome. I think Rome is the most witty person on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
He makes these offhanded comments
Love
that are just...
Love it.
I'm always laughing when Rome is on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the kids react. I'm talking about you talk. You
No, go ahead, get your shit on.
No. Go ahead. I can jump in after.
Well, you were shocked when I said finally. But, I mean, the show started with him damn near dying.
This is true. I agree
And
with
so
that.
it was about damn time that Logan Roy died. I think, as we said last pod, this is excellent writing.
Great writing. The best writing. Some of the best writing.
Wow, what good writing. Everything halted. Everyone's world stopped. Rome is spinning out of control. He's like, what? No, stop saying he's dead. Stop that. Stop saying that. We don't even know. We don't have any confirmation. I mean, like, can we get a fucking medical person on board or something? Like, until then, I don't even want you to say that. Everybody's like, oh, okay, Rome. All right. Maybe you should just sit down and relax. And he's like, no. Maybe I should stop saying my dad is dead. How about that? Huh? You ever thought about that? Huh? It's like, oh, okay. All right, Rome. And then Shiv is like, y'all motherfuckers didn't even come get me.
Right.
It's and then it's like, but we did. But it was crazy. We didn't even know.
Right.
And then now she feel like shit because Tom called her first.
Right.
And she
didn't
banged on
answer.
him twice.
Yeah, she didn't answer.
Because of everything she has going on, which we'll get to. I'm glad I'm glad Logan is finally gone. It's about damn time. I mean, how long we was gonna wait for this dude to die? Like, I know this is loosely based on Fox. What's his name?
Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert Murdoch?
But that's the beauty of Murdoch's story is that Murdoch has not died.
Right.
As old as, and he has had
all these health scares. Yeah. all
health
type of
scares
stuff.
and freak accidents.
Yes.
And
so
he has
that's,
not died.
And that's what this is loosely based on. We all know that. And so cool. But dude, like the show's called Succession. Like and this is the last season. Now if you said, hey, Succession is gonna be 10 seasons, or we don't know when Succession is ending, like a lot of shows. Until 6, 5, 7 seasons in, it's like, oh, next season will be the last season. Mm-hmm. There's only 4 seasons.
Right.
Well, then get this motherfucker out.
Well, right, he had to die in order for the show to end.
Or step down finally. But
he was never gonna step down.
And right, so
He was
we
never
knew
gonna step down.
after he stepped on the boxes
I just didn't know.
and made his little announcement, you know, that Tom helped him step on the boxes.
Yes. I just didn't know it was gonna be episode 3. I was shocked
Yeah,
that it was
rightfully
episode
so.
3. Which is fine because I think it gives room for a lot more story that maybe we wouldn't get if it had happened at the end of the season.
Right.
So I'm okay with it, but also devastated because oh my gosh, like what? It was so traumatic watching them like watching them try to figure it out and navigate it. And you know, Kendall is a lot of things, but Kendall had a clear head.
Yes, he did.
Once the initial shock was over, Kendall was like, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that.
And he said the most important piece that got the other two siblings to snap into the correct mode, the correct line of focus, which was whatever we do today and for the next 48 hours will go down in history as what we did immediately when our dad died. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, yeah, but
yeah,
right, he's
this
right.
Needs to be handled a certain way.
We have to do this the right way.
Yeah. So
and immediately it went right back to chess moves, kids.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was episode 3.
Yep, that was episode 3.
Episode 4 is kind of the aftermath. It's like they're still now. Logan has been moved off the plane. He has officially been pronounced dead.
That's how 3 ends.
Yeah.
And then Tom leaves with Shiv.
Right.
She summons him. And Ken is just like there, confused and processing. Mm-hmm. And the only one who really put his heart on his sleeve, who been putting his heart on his sleeve, which you said last episode, is Rome. Yeah. Roman goes and he rides off with Dad and helps put Dad in the ambulance. And you see him there and crying and red-faced and everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think kind of what I was saying with the first couple of episodes, Rome is interesting because he kind of came in. I mean, Kendall was working with the company for a very long time. Yeah. So it was Kendall's assumption that he would be successor, right? Like Kendall didn't think when we first met Kendall, he didn't think he would have to work as hard as he did to become the successor. And then Shiv was kind of the one who was on the outside of the company. Yep. But at least it seemed at first like her father respected her and thought that she could be great. Right. Rome was the one who was kind of, still just
puttering about,
floating around and having a good time. And I think that for Rome, his dad had started to gain some level of respect for him because he started taking the business seriously. He went through the management program, even though, even though he didn't want to, and they very much made it look like it was bullshit. Yep. And he did all of that. He got involved. He did the COO thing and whatever. So I could understand why, if you think that you're being looked at as a goofball for so long and then finally someone starts to respect you, it kind of could send you into a tailspin. Yeah. Like you and maybe feel like in some ways you didn't get enough time.
Right. And like we said last pod, Rome has always been the one who's seeking Dad's approval. Right. Like always seeking. Mm-hmm. Where others are like, oh, in this moment I'd like Dad to give me a nod. In that moment I'd like, Rome is always like, all right, can you pat me on the head, Dad? Yeah. You scratch my belly, Dad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so we kind of see them figuring things out. Everybody's scattering around. Marsha gets reintroduced. Yeah. She comes back,
and everyone shows up. They're like, yeah, but
everybody's
Marsha.
Like, Marsha's here.
Oh, hey.
Marsha's here. Marsha's I thought it was hilarious when Marsha was like, we spoke every morning and every night. And then they were like, oh, did you? And she goes, we had intimate conversations every morning and every night. And she said every night. And I was like, is she talking about phone sex?
And I would just like to say, that's cap, Your Honor.
It doesn't matter if he's not there to defend himself. So we just have to believe that Marsha was calling Logan at night.
For intimate moments.
For phone sex. Yep. Which I think is hilarious. I thought that was so funny. I
Clearly
thought that
bullshit.
was, I thought that was so funny.
It was.
But yeah, so Marsha.
And then who she say that to? Shiv? She said to one of the kids. It was Shiv,
Yeah,
no?
I think it was Shiv.
To say that to Shiv is wild. Can you imagine
Well,
your
her
dad?
and Shiv
Can you
always
imagine
had
like
issues.
your dad passes and you go to the crib to like do all the things, and then his estranged wife is like, "No, we was having phone sex every night." Though. It's like, nigga, what are you doing?
If I'm not mistaken, her and Shiv always had issues, so that was kind of a way to dig at Shiv a little bit.
So weird.
Yeah, but
Like if my pops passes, I don't want my fake stepmom who he's not really with to be like, yeah, no, me and dad was having mad phone sex all the time. All the time. I'd be like,
Oh
what's
my
wrong with you?
gosh.
Somebody get her out of here. But you can't get her out of here because apparently it's her house.
Right. So yeah, episode 4 was really interesting because it was just like they're in this transitional period several hours after it happened.
A day later.
And they're trying to figure certain things out. They still have this deal on the table that has to be dealt with.
Yep.
And it kind of, I feel like episode 4 was kind of setting up the building blocks for now we're stepping into a different stage of the season.
Yep. You see the teams begin to divide. You got the old guard and Tom, and then you got the kids.
And then you got Greg.
I'm about to say, and then Greg is just...
Wherever the wind blows it blows him. Like he is like, I want to be a disgusting brother, but also I want to be on the right side of this. And whoever is on the correct side of this, that is where I need to be.
If that's Marsha, what's the name? Marsha, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's Marsha, cool. If that's the kids, cool. If that's the old guard, cool.
Who told Tom he was fucked?
The old guard. When
It
they
was
were
Frank,
having
right?
No,
Frank?
the other one. The other guy, I can't remember his
always
name.
forget his
Frank
name.
is the one that was cool with Kendall in season 1 and trying to like mentor him.
Yeah.
It's the other old dude.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah. He was like, you're
Because
fucked.
they were having a conversation about like, all right, if this group of people has to select someone, who's it looking like?
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody was kind of giving their little, reason it should be me.
Right.
And then niggas was like, yeah, no, Tom, you're not bad.
Right.
But because of these reasons, some would say you're fucked.
Right. And Jerry got fired
And nobody knows.
in season 2, and the only person who
Season
knows...
2?
I'm sorry,
Episode
in
2.
episode 2. And Rome is the only person who knows because his dad made him do
and
it.
Tom.
Oh, Tom knew?
Tom asked him, remember? At one point before Logan dies, early in the episode, before he speaks to Jerry, Tom calls him and asks, hey, the old man wants to know, did you do it yet?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they're the only ones who know. So Jerry kind of just walks back into the room and starts working like nothing ever happened, which I think is really interesting. And I wonder if that's going to come up later.
Possibly.
Also, Jerry, I was looking at Jerry the last couple of episodes. Jerry looked like she did a little something extra with her hair.
The suits.
She's been wearing more jewelry. Her suits have been a lot nicer. I'm like,
I think Jerry is what we call in the hood stunning on these hoes.
that's what it does.
I think Jerry is like, oh, y'all fired me, but now you need me,
Right.
and I have like power on the board.
And not only that,
Watch me
I have a
work.
sexual harassment lawsuit waiting to happen
In my back pocket if I need to.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
She's like, y'all not gonna get rid of me that easily.
Now watch me work.
Listen, and Jerry's always been the smartest one out of the bunch.
Yo, Jerry's one of my favorite characters.
Jerry has always been the smartest one out of the bunch. I don't care what anybody says.
They be like, what you think, Jerry? She's like, well, from a legal standpoint.
Right, Jerry always has, she knows exactly what the answer is at any given time.
Yep.
When everybody else starts freaking out, like in episode 5, when everybody starts freaking out, she's like, oh no, don't freak out.
Right.
This is just a formality. And she
right.
starts reading off the information and whatever, like, cool as a cucumber.
That's
and I
right.
love that about her. I really do. Because I feel like, she could have been a good CEO. She
Yes.
could have been a good CEO, but we'll see where she lands. I think Jerry is going to be just fine by the end of the season.
I've never questioned if Jerry was going to be all right.
The only thing I could think of outside of like continuing to work for the company under whoever whoever is gonna be there is Jerry being like, you know what, fuck this. I want to go and live my life and like live on an island somewhere. Or,
that's what the other guy said. Not Frank, the other dude, the same one we can't remember his name.
Yeah,
he's like, listen, this buyout shit. I just want to get paid enough to go out with my package.
Right.
I just care about my package.
Yeah.
The rest of the shit, I don't care about.
Yeah. Yeah, like go live in Vermont or somewhere, like someplace beautiful and just, move on with life.
That's it.
Start a new life. So by episode 5 though.
Yeah. So we skipped a lot of episode 4 because during that funeral gathering service situation, they find a piece of paper in the vault, in the safe, which has got some scribbles and some addendums and some remixes. And part of that is who gets what. That's how we found out Marsha's keeping the house, which apparently her and Connor handshook on. Some
Connor
super old school. She's like, I'm looking for like 60 to 70 million.
Connor is a clown. Connor is a clown. And just to be clear, this was not the funeral. This was more like a wake that they had at the house. The funeral is coming because because we get to that in episode 5 where Connor ends up, I know we're jumping around, but Connor ends up having to be the one to be involved in the funeral arrangements with Marsha while the rest of the kids go deal with business.
Right.
So I'm assuming we're going to be a part of the funeral in some way.
Probably the end of the season.
Yeah, but we haven't gotten to the funeral yet. So there was you're right. There was a gathering at the house. But he's a buffoon. He's
like, so what we talking like? So what you feel like 63? She's like 63. 63 right now.
She was like, all I want is my millions. I'm not.
I know it's a joke. I'm saying that's what she did.
I know.
Chris, you see what I be talking about?
Like,
Chris?
You
see what I be talking about? This is between me and Chris. You just keep embarrassing me on camera. Don't worry, it's good.
Anyway.
Yeah. So they find the piece of paper. It's got scribbles and pencil marks. No one knows when this was written, but it wasn't given to the lawyers or nothing. And so the long story short is, on the paper it says the successor should be Yawn Fest. No, it should be Kendall Roy. And so Ken gets all in his feelings while everyone else is like, this shit don't matter. This shit old as hell. We don't know what this means. And then Shiva's like, let me see this though. Let me see. But are these underlines or are these cross outs?
Right. And then when you look
what
at the paper,
what does this shit even mean?
When you looked at the paper, it was an underline and a cross out. And I was like, all right. Because they were able to place when the document was typed up, allegedly, but they have no idea when the scribbles came.
And the scribbles are in pencil.
Right.
And then the funniest part to me is everybody's trying to get their power plays on.
Yeah.
Ken is trying to get people to push that it should be him. Dad said it, so there's really nothing to talk about. Let's just tell the board. And then
Greg.
Right.
Greg
I was trying to get there, but yeah. They're like, somebody comes and gets Greg. He's like, me in there? You want me to go? They want me? Oh, you sure? It's like, Tom's not in there though? I was like, oh, okay. And he goes in and he Scooby-Doo's inside. And they're like, well, Greg, it probably doesn't even mean anything. Because it's in pencil, but we just want to let you know that on this piece of paper, your name is there with some shit that you should get. And he's like,
but all it was a question mark.
Right, it was a question mark. So it's like camera, Greg, question mark. And he's like, oh, can I see? Can I see? No, because no, it's me on the paper. So when do we think that this happened? Because Greg is like trying to get his shit off.
He's trying to make sure that he don't get left behind. He's not going back to that mascot costume. Remember when he threw up in that mascot costume? He is not trying to go back there.
Nope.
To season 1 Greg. I just think it's funny that he keeps going up to the siblings and going, not Connor, but he keeps going up to the 3.
In episode 5.
And he's like, we're the
quad.
We're the quad squad. And they're like, what the fuck? Why the fuck are you here?
Right.
He's like, anything you guys need?
Right.
You guys need to bounce an idea off of me.
Right. I'm tapped in.
I'm tapped in. I know what's going on. I can help. Greg is just making sure he's not getting left behind.
And Tom is trying to do the same thing.
Greg don't have a good relationship with
Tom
Granddad
is doing the same shit.
So he's trying to make sure that he shores up his money.
Because the Disgusting Brothers are hanging in the balance.
Listen.
That's why. The Disgusting Brothers have no one to cling to.
I mean, and Greg is in a better position than okay, Tom is in a decent position, but Greg. When I say Greg is in up to episode 4, Greg is in a better position than Tom because
everyone's
Shiv
like,
and Tom are on the outs.
Yeah,
he chose which direction he wanted to go in, and then Greg is still family, even though they think Greg is an idiot. But Greg is the good thing about Greg is that Greg doesn't make enemies.
No.
So
he just slimes.
Right. So there is an opportunity for people to have Greg's back.
Yeah.
Will they or won't they is a different question, but he hasn't made any enemies out of anyone. So he can kind of float around, and they kind of, they usually get to a point where they allow him in at least
to do some tiny shit.
Right.
Like episode 5. When Ken is like, all right, yeah, you know what? Here, you're going to get a phone call on this phone.
Right. Just do this.
This is what you're going to say, which is the truth.
Right.
You're going to tell them the truth.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, the quad. The quad.
The
quad.
squad.
The quad. Yeah, no, I can do that. The quad squad. I got you. The truth. Yeah, nobody's happy here. Got it.
Yo, hilarious.
Okay.
Hilarious.
So episode 5 is back to Succession now.
Oh, yeah.
Now everyone is playing chess. Everyone is undermining each other. Everyone is trying to make moves. It is full on Succession. And they remind us that because they say fuck off about 22 times this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, that shit was cool. Now we're going to get back to the shits. And they're back to the shits.
In Switzerland.
Ken is making moves. Shiv is making moves. The old guard.
Moves.
Well, we didn't know that till the end, but yeah.
Right.
So the brothers try to play and make a play and leave Shiv out. Shiv makes her own play and leaves the brothers out.
Right, and they have no idea. They think that they're the ones who brokered this amazing deal, and everybody is happy and excited on the plane. And honestly, they don't feel good about it.
Well, because they didn't want to broker a deal. They were trying to do whatever they could to push Homeboy away. Excuse me, and get rid of the deal.
Right.
Completely, because that was Ken's idea. And then Rome is like, yeah, no, you're right. I fuck with it.
But
let's do it.
But they still end up looking good at the end.
Oh, well, Shiv did her mastermind shit. Shiv made it look like she took care of everybody.
Everybody she cared about.
Well, you mean it in a good way. I meant it in a bad way.
Oh.
Shiv,
I don't think it's bad at all.
Well, she got rid of a bunch of the old guard.
Right, that's why I said she took care of everybody she cared about.
Got it.
She took care of her brothers.
She took care of her
brothers. She made them look good.
For better or for worse. Great. They don't like it.
They don't like it,
but to the world, it looks like wow.
Right. And that's going to be good for them moving forward as CEOs or whatever capacity.
Whatever it is they do.
They end up in. They look good right now, and she did that. She took care of Tom.
She took care of Tom.
She took care of Carolina.
But let's just pause for a minute. You expected her to do that for Tom?
Yes.
I did not.
Shiv
is being smart because she knows she's pregnant.
Right.
She knows she has not told Tom. At least we haven't seen her tell Tom.
No, and I think Tom. And it
seems like seems like he's oblivious.
Right.
And she knows. All right, we about to. You know what? I gotta get my shit together because now I got a kid coming.
Also, I think that Shiv.
She feels outed.
Yes, she feels like she's on the outside, and I think this is her way of kind of regaining control.
Of course.
But also when it comes to Tom, I don't think that Shiv ever thought that Tom would betray her.
Of course.
And I don't think she ever thought that Tom would want to leave her.
Of course.
So I think in a weird, I don't really love this man kind of way, I think that Shiv also was always going to find a way to stay connected to Tom.
Well, you hit it on the head. She gained back control.
Right.
Because now she's in control of Tom again. He doesn't know it yet.
I mean,
but she's in control of Tom.
Yeah.
She's in control of the deal.
Because now he'll continue.
She's in control of a lot of shit.
He'll continue to dote on her, especially when he finds out she's pregnant.
Absolutely.
He'll continue to take care of things and make sure she's okay.
And I don't think they're gonna have to do much because at the end of the episode, she's like, "Yo, what's up? You want to get dinner when we land?"
Right.
So she's probably about to get right back on her on their House of Cards shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's exactly what's gonna happen. I think she likes having Tom where she has him because the reality of the situation is she probably doesn't want to be lonely.
And she told Tom to get rid of Sid.
Right.
She's like, handle that.
Yeah.
Get rid of Sid. He's
What?
like, oh, me? Yeah, you. Okay. After he said okay, she's like, by the way, you want to grab dinner tonight when we land?
Yep. Yeah. So, she has a lot of the dad in her when it comes to those types of moves.
I think they all do in different ways.
Yeah.
I think like any familial relationship, we pick up different things from our parents. And I think we see that in this moment.
Yeah.
In this season.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it throughout, but I think in this season they're starting to show us who's more like him in what ways.
Yeah. I agree with that. But yeah, just listen. I can't believe episode 5 is over. I just feel like it's going so fast now.
We're about halfway through the season, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's usually, 12 episodes?
Something like that.
We're approaching the
9 and
halfway
12.
mark.
Yeah, so it's like I'm anxious to see how it plays out, but I'm also like, okay, let's take our time and get through it. But yeah, that was episodes 3 through 5 of Succession.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Madsen or whatever his name is, that guy is weird. In a lot of ways.
The half liters of blood?
That's weird.
That was some nasty shit. And
it made a lot of sense why Shorty ain't want nothing to do with him when they were talking.
Right, she didn't want anything to do with him. Yeah. And that's why Carolina stayed on.
Yep.
So Carolina could move right into the spot and take care of things, clean things up.
Yep. And you know Jerry wasn't going nowhere.
No, of course not. And I wouldn't get rid of Jerry.
No. And everyone's like, but Tom got to be on the list. If we're all getting cut, how could Tom not be on the list? Right. And that's when it was like, oh, so then this was Shiv.
This was Shiv, yeah. Yeah, that's what made it very obvious.
Because we watched it right before we potted, and we both looked at each other and was like, oh, Shiv.
Yeah, Shiv did this. Shiv did this. But yeah, so curious to see what happens next.
Same.
It looks like Kendall has to make public remarks next week. And I'm curious about that because they even said it in the trailer for next week that Kendall loves to go rogue when he has to get on stage in front of a group of people. So we'll see what happens and if he continues to protect himself and his siblings. Because we're in a weird spot right now. Something that we've never seen them do before. We've seen them bond like in a more casual setting.
Right.
But we've never really seen them work together for the company before, all three of them. So this is really interesting. I like that they've come together and they're trying to help each other. Even though they still have their little side things going on, they're still, for the most part, like, I was really surprised that the boys were like, we need to talk to Shiv about this. And they said that multiple times. In the last couple of episodes, they've been trying to be very above board about including their sister.
Yes,
especially because she couldn't be the third CEO, and they made that very clear that that wouldn't make sense. But they're really trying to hold up their end of the bargain.
Except in that one moment.
Right, where they wanted to tank the deal. Yeah.
It's interesting. I love how layered the show is, how sneaky everybody is, all of the quote-unquote Sif moves, like I said last episode. I love it. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens as everyone is doing their own small, meticulous chess games, chess moves.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a lot of strategery involved.
A lot of strategery. Yep. A lot of it.
And I also want to see what's going to blow up in whose face, because I refuse to believe that in the next 6 or 7 episodes, no one's plan is going to unfold and blow up in their face.
Oh, no. And I don't think
that's a part of every season of Succession.
Yeah, and I don't really think the three of them ride off into the sunset at the end.
No.
I don't think that's how that will work. I think there will be one person at the top at the end.
Well, I told you, but I didn't say it here. There was a moment when Tom tried to give fake loyalty to Ken and say like, "Hey man, whatever you need, you know I'm here." He's groveling, and Ken said, "Tom, I like you.
Good luck.
Good luck." At that moment of episode 4, I felt like Tom's gonna be the guy.
We'll see.
Because after he said that, they didn't show Ken going upstairs. It just stood on Tom for a hot minute, and Tom just like thinking.
Yeah.
And that moment made me feel like, all right, it's gonna be Tom.
We'll see. I mean, I said
You said it. You definitely
I
said
it
it
before.
You definitely said it.
At this point, after 5 episodes, I don't even know. I have no idea how it's gonna end, but I'm very curious to see what happens. So, and I do think that Tom will end up landing somewhere that maybe either we didn't expect or somewhere pretty high up. So,
Well, if Sid is getting fired, he's already getting a promotion.
right, yeah.
Because it's him and Sid are like right neck and neck.
Yeah.
And so in some episodes in the past, it looks like he's in charge. Other ones, it looks like she's in charge. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
All right, that is our Succession episode 3, 4, and 5 recap, thoughts, predictions. We are wrapping it up. We are out of here.